What if everything you were taught about the 1929 stock market crash was a lie? What if the collapse wasn't an accident, wasn't a panic, wasn't even a crisis, but a strategic reset engineered by the same financial forces still controlling America today? Most people think 1929 was chaos, but chaos is an excellent cover story. Today, in 2025, you feel the pressure, inflation eating your paycheck, savings shrinking, debt rising, the markets behaving like they're obeying a script no one explains. And that feeling you have that something is off, it isn't paranoia, it's a pattern. Because hidden inside a set of forbidden Wall Street documents, sealed for decades, is a blueprint. A sequence of moves so calculated, so predatory, that it reshaped the entire US financial architecture. And those same tactics are still being used today. We're going to break this open, piece by piece, layer by layer, lie by lie. But first, check in with the community. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments so the truth seekers can find each other. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because this is the only place where the unfiltered truth is still allowed to breathe. Now, let's uncover what really happened in 1929. The official story goes like this. October 1929, investors panic, stocks fall, banks fail, the Great Depression begins. A tragedy, a fluke, a financial heart attack. But as you're about to see, that narrative leaves out the most important part: who triggered the collapse and who profited from it. Let's rewind. In the roaring 1920s, America looked unstoppable. Production soared, markets soared, new technologies, radios, automobiles, electrification gave people the illusion of endless growth. Sound familiar? Because the same psychological pattern repeated in the early 2000s, the 2010s, and the run-up to 2020. Cheap money, explosive optimism, and the belief that this time is different. But back in the 1920s, the optimism wasn't organic. It was manufactured. Behind the scenes, a handful of Wall Street power brokers working through private banking houses and what would later become central bank level influence had discovered a secret weapon: credit creation without accountability. They realized they could inflate the market using leverage, margin lending, and syndicated pools, private groups coordinating massive buys to push prices up. Then, when the market reached a peak, they could pull their capital out, reverse their positions, and profit from the collapse they themselves engineered. If that sounds like modern hedge fund behavior, it's because it is. But there's more. In 1927, after a series of quiet, almost secret meetings between central bankers from the US, Britain, France, and Germany, interest rates were manipulated downward, injecting what newspapers called easy money directly into the market. Cheap credit, artificial growth, exponential speculation. Sound familiar? This coordinated move was not public, it was not democratic, and it set the stage for the single greatest wealth transfer in early American history. Regular Americans piled into the market, convinced it could only rise. Meanwhile, the insiders, the ones with access to the real data, began quietly withdrawing. Throughout 1928, syndicated stock pools rigged specific stocks up and down to create predictable profit cycles. Newspapers later revealed that one of the biggest pools executed nearly 1 million shares of coordinated trades in a single week. But at the time, no one understood what was coming. Then came the second misdirection. When markets trembled slightly in March 1929, the most powerful banker in America reassured the public with a calm statement. there is no cause for alarm. Sound familiar? Within months, the bottom would fall out. But the real question isn't why the bottom fell. It's who knew it would, and who positioned themselves to win. Because, after decades of secrecy, documents finally revealed something staggering. Certain bankers weren't just predicting the crash, they were engineering it. And that leads us to the forbidden mechanism at the heart of this entire story. A mechanism that explains both 1929 and the financial fragility you feel today. Here is the truth Wall Street never wanted you to discover. The 1929 collapse was amplified, almost deliberately, through a shadow system of call loans, the precursor to today's margin lending. But this wasn't just risky lending. It was weaponized leverage. Here's how it worked. Banks lent money to brokers. Brokers lent money to investors. Investors bought stocks using borrowed money. Nearly 90% of all market purchases in 1929 were funded by this unstable structure. A structure controlled by a tiny circle of lenders. And the most dangerous detail: these loans could be called in, demanded back at any time without warning. Now, imagine this power in the hands of a small group of aligned financial institutions. On October 24, 1929, that's exactly what happened. A coordinated withdrawal of credit, an engineered liquidity vacuum, a silent, invisible decision made in private rooms that detonated the entire U.S. economy. But who coordinated it? Who gave the signal? And who walked away richer while the country fell to its knees? You're about to learn the name. You're about to see the mechanism. And you're about to understand why the forbidden documents matter. Because they reveal that 1929 was indeed the first time this tactic was used. And it certainly wasn't the last.